We're right to go, Adam? Thank you. I declare the April Ordinary Council meeting open at 4 p.m. Welcome everybody. We have all councillors on deck and staff-wise, we are missing Miss Susie Hazelhurst, who is on leave, but we have Mr Dale Putland, who is acting in that director's role. The disclaimer, members of the public are advised that recommendations to council contained within this agenda can be subject to change. Applicants and other interested parties should refrain from taking any action until written advice is received confirming council's decision with respect to any particular issue. Any statement or insinuation of approval regarding any planning or development application made during an ordinary council meeting is not to be taken as notice of approval. Anyone who has an application lodged with the Shire must obtain and should only rely on written confirmation of the outcome of the application and any conditions attached to the decision made by council. Council members and the community are reminded that should an exemption resolution be passed, this has the effect of making the decision to accept the officer's recommendation as stated in the agenda as the council's decision without change. An audio and visual record will be made by means of live streaming of these proceedings and uploaded to the Shire's YouTube page for viewing. Acknowledgement of country. The Shire of Harvey acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. We pay our respects to all members of the Aboriginal communities, their cultures and to elders past, present and emerging. Procedural motion. I move the motion that Council suspend Standing Orders Part 8, Clause 8.5, members to indicate their intention to speak and to rise when speaking, to allow members to remain seated when speaking to improve the quality of the audio recording of the meeting. And won't it be great when that happens? Comes through. Councillor Coleman, thank you. I'll put that one to the vote. Councillors, all those in favour? That is carried 9-0. Thank you, councillors. Records of apologies and leave of absence. I have no apologies or leave of absence. I'll move on to applications for leave of absence. Councillors, are there any applications? No, thank you. Declarations of members and officers' personal interest. Do we have any councillors and or staff? That's a no. Questions by members of which due notice has been given is nil. Up to response to previous questions taken on notice. Responses to questions by the following members of public have been captured in the ordinary council meeting agenda and will form part of the minutes and will be sent to them. They were from Miss Marie Golden, Miss India Stone and Miss Leanne Peterson. So follow-up correspondence outlining the council's response will be formally sent through. Public question time. I declare public question time open at 4:03 p.m. I have received questions from two residents that are located down in Australind and they have requested that I read their questions out, which I have agreed to. The first one is from Miss India Stone, who resides at 5 Good Court in Australind. Her first question is, the Australian Prime Minister recently asked all Australians to do their bit in reducing fuel costs amid concerns regarding fuel shortages due to the ongoing closure of the Straits of Hormuz. The Shire of Harvey fuel costs from the Statement of Accounts for March 2026 were in the vicinity of $50,000. What measures have been put in place to reduce fuel usage across the Shire, including whether there is a policy that guides vehicle allocation and fuel use within fuel use with limits and allowances, and how is compliance of this policy monitored and enforced? There are a number of questions in that one. CEO?
We'll take that one on notice.
The second question from Ms Stone. The ongoing costs and shortage of fuel compounds the difficulty residents of Australind have in attending council meetings due to their time and location. Councillors are able to attend council meetings remotely. Are council intending to allow residents to remotely attend council meetings during public question time so that residents are able to actively participate in council meetings, as the majority of questions that are emailed in are taken on notice and responded to via email, which removes any nuance or opportunity for clarifications? CEO?
We'll take that question on notice.
Thank you. And I will add that I've had a couple of emails in relation to public question time and questions submitted from residents down at Australind. I'm very cognisant of travel time and the cost in relation to fuel, and I have indicated that I am more than happy to read out the questions if they are sent through to me as the presiding member. Thank you. Next two questions come from Miss Belinda Williams, who is also a resident of Australind. So I will read out her questions. In 2024, Council endorsed the Sport and Recreation Strategy 2033. This plan was included in the Forward Capital Works Plan for future planning. This plan was a significant expense to the Shire and was prepared after extensive consultation by industry experts, both of local community and state partners. Upon reviewing the draft Forward Capital Work Plan being presented to Council and comparing to the prioritised projects listed from page 29 of the linked plan, most projects have been removed. The proposed budget amounts for Ovals 7 and 8 is around 1/3 of the endorsed concept. The BRG, Brunswick Rec Grounds Amphitheatre, is budgeted less than 1/4 of the proposed project in the plan, and there are many more anomalies. I would suggest amendments, not anomalies, but I have seen that an additional $40,000 has been nominated for an investigation into equestrian facilities. This was not identified as a priority action in this plan, nor the tourism plan. First question: why does the draft Forward Capital Work Plan not reflect the infrastructure priorities and financial summary endorsed by Council in the Sport and Rec Plan 2033, which was endorsed within the last 2 years? Mr. Putland, thank you.
Yes, so the Sport and Rec Plan was considered as part of the development of the Forward Capital Works program. However, strategies adopted by councils are intended to be guiding documents, and as you're aware, are a snapshot of the community aspirations at the time of their development. Given competing priorities and economic challenges, Council is obliged to prioritise its aspirations against emergency community needs and financial constraints, and this has occurred.
Thank you, Mr. Putland. Question 2. Has Council received a condition report for Harvey Pool that validates the budget allocation to Harvey Aquatic Facilities as a true reflection of the potential costs to repair and maintain the facility? Mr. Putland?
Not as yet. The Shire is currently seeking professional advice regarding the structural investigation of the Dr. Peter Topham Memorial Swimming Pool. The amount included in the draft Forward Capital Works program reflects a cost estimate to replace the pool liner. Should the investigation identify further required works, Council will be requested to consider the financial implications of this and make a decision.
Thank you, Mr. Putland. Are there any other public questions? No. Therefore, I declare public question time closed at, sorry, I don't have a... 4:09. At 4:09 p.m. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Mr. Ferraro.
Do I have to include my questions in what you're asking?
Yes, Mr. Ferraro, unless... I know that you're down for a deputation. That is not the time to be asking questions to Council, but you are more than welcome. You're up next to give your deputation, and maybe at the end, if you have a couple of questions, we will not provide a response, but we will take them as on notice.
Well, I can't
All right, Mr Ferraro, what I'll do is I'll ask you to come up now, invite you up now to give your deputation, and we will work through that.
Sounds good.
Okay, so please come forward, state your name and your address.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know, my name is Tony Ferraro. I was born in Yarloop, and I believe as of last week I'm the oldest and still living in Yarloop. My wife was born in Yarloop. My 4 children were born in Yarloop. So that's me. My gripe with the council is the changing of the name of Wickham Road. To Vivian, who had no bloodlines to the Wickham family at all. She was married to Wickham. So the road got its name, Wickham, from a man called Monty Wickham, who owned the property our family now own. It included the town side of Yarloop at the time, so the original title was the railway line as part of the farm. Monty Wickham, who pioneered the land, cleared it, picked up every stick and did whatever. Monty Wickham handed it down to his son, Charlie Wickham, who handed it down to his son, Graham Wickham, who finished up farming in partnership with his son, Andrew Wickham. So as you can see, the name Wickham needs to stay for these reasons. It's Wickham Road, Wickham, it's Wickham. Why on earth council voted to name it Vivian's beyond my belief. I know Councillor Caboni had a say at it. Now, there seems to be a discrepancy as to essentials. I think a road is for essential services. Patrick had a brief few words there. He's telling me it's a different thing. It goes on addresses. Okay? So there's a problem there. You know, if I ring up the fire brigade, I have to give them the address which runs off Wickham Road. Patrick, or do you mind me calling you Patrick? It's all right.
Mr Hughes?
Mr Hughes? Mr Hughes, if I ring up the ambulance, I've got to tell them where it is, the fire brigade. If I ring up Mitchell's, which Tiny would be familiar to load up 60 wheelers, I can't give them a letterbox number. I have to give them a road number. Is everybody clear with that? Because the vote was voted on addresses. Wrong. So that's about all I want to say at this stage, because it gets messy as it goes. So the questions I have is in regards to the discrepancy of the lot numbers of the roads and the people that live there. So does everybody understand that? You all happy with that?
Thank you, Mr Ferraro. So what would you, if that's the end of your deputation,
Yep.
what action would you like council to do in relation to your deputation? Do you have an outcome, or your intent is
It's
to...
very, very simple, as I pointed out to you and to the councillors that didn't respond to me. It should never have been changed. It's been there ever since the land was taken up. And I can draw it on there. Wickham Road comes up here, then it's our property, then it's Wickham Street. And if you join that road through our property, Laurie would know, he's arrested some people there. It's just all one road. Then when they subdivided the town many, many years later, they decided to have Wickham Street. So why on earth did this council vote to change Wickham Road?
To Vivian. Okay, Mr Ferraro. Well, we'll take what you're saying.
Yep.
I will speak to the CEO and yourself, and we will...
Well, this is what I want. I want council to rescind.
Okay, well now
After I finish describing on that map,
Yep.
on the whiteboard, that the lot numbers that Mr Hughes presented and Councillor Bromfield voted in favour of.
Okay, so now we've worked through
Yes.
your deputation, and the outcome of your deputation today is for council to consider a rescission motion.
Thank you.
We will leave that with council, and if there is a councillor that wishes to follow up on that process, then they have every right to do that. Councillor Coleman, you have a question?
Yes, if I may. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for coming along. A question for you based on, and I totally respect your family and in fact many of the families that are born and bred in this area, but now we have a lot of younger ones coming in who are from other areas.
Yep.
And as is happening in Perth metro area as well as our region, for example, ambulances, when they hit, in our day, all right, and I'll put myself in yours, in our day, you always used Wickham Road or Wickham Street. It was very clear.
Well,
Now
you can't send a carrier
No.
via a letterbox.
What
Yeah,
I'm
Mr.
saying
Ferreira,
is-
let
what I'm
Councillor
saying is
Coleman
that-
ask a question.
that because of the subdivision, nowadays some of the younger people, certainly in emergency services, hear Wickham, not Wickham Road or Wickham Street. So how do we define the difference between the two unless we change one of the names? And I'm not suggesting either way.
Yep.
How do we define the two to make sure that we save lives in the best possible time, the minimum amount of time possible? So again, there's lots of names that do need to be changed because they are conflicting. No longer are people using street or road as a normal suffix to the name. They're just saying the name. And our emergency services are getting caught up in it. So I just ask you, just out of courtesy, how would we go about that process, given that it was not your fault that it was subdivided or divided up a bit? How do we change it?
There's no change.
But you just, did you not, sorry, did I misunderstand? I thought you said Wickham Road went up and then there was a bit of a division and then it went across to Wickham Street.
No. I said,
Sorry, was that my...
You draw a line. That's Clifton Road.
Yep.
Which is Craig's going to change Clifton Road in Brunswick, by the way, he said. There's Clifton Road, Wickham Street, Wickham Road.
Yep.
Locations, then it's our property,
Yep.
which goes around to there, which Wickham Street feeds into.
Yep.
So I understand, I understand what you're saying.
Yep.
I have no problem with what you're saying. One has to change. Why change Wickham Road? Why not change Wickham Street? That's the argument.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ferreira. Another question, Councillor
Just a
Coleman?
follow-up question.
Yeah.
So, and please excuse my ignorance of that. What's the difference between changing Wickham Road or Wickham Street? What is... No. I respect the families involved, but why would it make a difference if we changed Wickham Street versus Wickham Road? Why would that
the
make...
Wickham farm was the jewel in the crown of farming in Yarloo. It's been owned by 4 or 5 generations.
Yep.
Why do you have to change? Why could council not reverse, as I said in the letter? Why couldn't you change that road?
That's what I'm saying. Why does that make a difference? And
It makes a lot of difference to me. We have properties everywhere. So you ring up Mitchell's, hello, ring. Yep, which property do you want? Nicholson Road, Eckersley Road, Brockman Road, Wickham Road. So you ring up, hello, is that Mitchell's? Yeah. Oh, can you go to Vivian Road this time, please? What the fuck's that?
Okay.
Okay, so it's the
It's
change.
just more people being disrupted on this road than this road.
Okay.
Okay.
Some of the numbers that Mr Hughes quoted, that one fronts Teesdale Street, that one fronts Station Street. There's 3 houses here, a vacant block that Alcoa owns, and I think there's a residence here. So to tell me that there's 9 residents there, sorry,
Okay.
misleading.
Okay, all right, Mr.
More
Ferreira.
important people on this road, more important names, more history.
So, Mr.
So,
Ferreira,
thank
from
you
that
for letting me know.
discussion, thank you, Councillor Coleman. So, from that discussion, you're suggesting that Wickham Road be retained
Yep.
and Wickham Street be changed. Okay.
If that's council decision,
Well, that would be
I really
yeah,
don't want
that's
to
a
have a
process
say
for
on what
council.
council decides.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Bromham. You had a question.
No, in fact, thanks for that. You actually
Okay.
answered it when you said the 2 different...
All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Councillor.
tried to tell you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferreira. Councillor Caboni, question.
Yeah, well, question to staff, because I'm confused, because I asked to move a rescission motion to do exactly that and was told I couldn't do it because it's already been implemented by Landgate, I think it was.
CEO?
Yes, the standing orders state that if a resolution of council has been actioned, then there is no ability for that decision to be rescinded. Having said that, the application is in with Landgate. If there was a notice of motion from a councillor to put a request into Landgate to rename the road back to Wickham Road and to put another motion to advertise Wickham Street to an alternative name and to go through the whole process again, then that's a decision for council. But the original decision stands as it has been actioned.
Well, I'll move that as a notice of motion when the time comes, if someone wants to word it up appropriately.
Well, you've got time to put that through, not to be processed today.
Yes, there's enough time to draft that following the meeting for a decision at the next council meeting.
Okay, Mr Ferrero? Okay, lovely, thank you. Councillor Bromham?
Yeah, I just, a bit of concern because I know Landgate's about 6 months behind what it's doing at the moment, but I'm just concerned, you know, what is the reason we've got to put it off for another month? Could it not be moved today? Is there some reason that we can't move it today?
Well, it's actioning it as a notice of motion, so that's the process. Okay? All right. My next one is Mrs Ferguson. Welcome, Mrs Ferguson.
Thank you. Sheila Ferguson, Unit 458, Old Coast Road, Australand. My deputation is about question time. It is brief, and if not prohibited by the Local Government Act or regulations, I request that it be published in the minutes. At the last council meeting, after asking 2 questions, I requested to ask another but was not permitted to do so. In the past, people have asked more than 2 questions without there being a problem. Standing orders state, each member of the public with a question is entitled to ask up to 2 questions before other members of the public will be invited to ask their questions. The implication of this is that further questions may be allowed after other members of the public have had the opportunity to ask theirs, and this has also happened in the past. I have attended many council meetings over the last 10 to 12 years, both in Shire of Harvey and Shire of Dardanup, and I don't recall anyone ever being refused permission to ask a question. I believe I should have been allowed to ask another question for the following reasons. 1. Standing orders does not prohibit the asking of more than 2 questions. 2. The Department of Local Government states in a publication freely available online that its view is that when someone has asked their allowed number of questions, if they have more questions, the presiding member should note the request and put them at the end of the queue. When everyone else has been given an opportunity to ask questions, the presiding member may, if time permits, provide an opportunity for those who have already asked a question to ask further questions. 3. Local Government Administration Regulations 1996 state, the minimum time to be allocated for the asking of and responding to questions raised by members of the public at ordinary meetings of councils is 15 minutes. 4. Question time at the last council meeting ran for less than 13 minutes. I believe that to be a true and correct record of the meeting, the fact that I requested to ask another question and was not permitted to do so should be recorded in the minutes, but that request has been disallowed. This deputation is to ask Council to adhere to the view of the Department of Local Government in future and allow members of the public to ask more than 2 questions in line with the procedure suggested by the Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs Ferguson. Are there any other deputations? No. Thank you. We will move on to announcements by presiding members or CEO without discussion. I have two announcements. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge Harvey, RSL and other community volunteers and organisations that coordinated a number of Anzac Day services across our shire on Anzac Day. I had the privilege of attending 3 commemoration services at Binningup, Brunswick and Harvey, the mid-morning march and service in Harvey, and all were extremely well attended across the shire. And I know from other councillors that attended other services, the dawn service in Harvey and the dawn service in Yarloop, that the attendance was above average as well. So I would just like to pass on my thank you to all the volunteer organisations that work hard behind the scenes to acknowledge this most important day on our calendar. I'd also like to extend our congratulations to the Harvey Agricultural Society for another successful Harvey show. I believe it's the 104th show. Once again, the attendance looked amazing. I was there on the Sunday and the people were streaming through, so I believe it was well attended on the Saturday evening as well. These events take a significant amount of work by our volunteers and also our shire staff to make sure that they are successful events for our region. So I'd like to acknowledge everybody's efforts on this successful delivery of the 104th Harvey show. Well done, everybody. CEO, do you have any points? Thank you. We'll move into confirmation of minutes. We have the officer's recommendation here that the minutes of the council meeting held on Tuesday the 24th of 2026 as published be confirmed as a true and correct record. Do I have a mover for that one? Councillor Holly, thank you. A seconder? Councillor McCarthy. Is there any questions? An amendment, Councillor Coleman. Yep. Your amendment?
So my amendment is that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on Tuesday 24th of March 2026 as published be confirmed as a true and correct record with an amended change to include the wording for item 10, confirmation of minutes. Mrs Sheila Ferguson asked to present a third question, but the decision was made to deny the request. The reason...
I'll just get a seconder first.
Certainly.
Do I have a seconder for that amendment, Council? Councillor Hitchcock. Thank you. All right, Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Madam President. Our standing orders, the reason for the amendment is that section 5.22, number 1 of the Local Government Act states that the person presiding at a meeting of a council or a committee is to cause minutes to be kept of the meeting's proceedings. That does not rule out decisions made that were not made by council. It's the proceedings. And justly, Mrs Ferguson actually asked for a question and in the proceedings was appropriately denied by the presiding member, but nonetheless it was part of the proceedings and should be recorded in the minutes, as in the section 5.221 of the Local Government Act.
Thank you. Councillor Hitchcock as the seconder.
No, I think Councillor Coleman covered it. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further debate in relation to the amendment? I'll put to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That amendment is lost. So we'll move back to the original recommendation that was moved by Councillor Holly, seconded by Councillor McCarthy. Is there any debate, councillors, in relation to this? No, I'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Against? 2 against. That is carried.
For the amendment.
3-5.
3-5 question.
3-6. All good? Okay, thank you, councillors. We'll move on to receipt of minutes and recommendations from the committees. We have the recommendation here from the minutes of the Audit Committee meeting held on Tuesday, the 14th of April, as published, be received and the recommendations therein be adopted. Do I have a mover for this one? Councillor Dickinson, a seconder. Councillor Morley. I believe there's an amendment, Councillor McCarthy. Like to read that out?
Thank you. I'd like to propose the following amendment, that the minutes of the Audit Committee meeting held on Tuesday the 14th of April 2026, as published, be received and the recommendation therein be adopted, with an amended change in replacing Councillor Holly with Councillor McCarthy in the voting list throughout the minutes.
Do I have a seconder for that one? Councillor Caboni. Is there likely to be any discussion, councillors? I don't think so. We'll put that one to the vote. All those in favour? That is carried 9-0. Okay, that now becomes a substantive motion. I imagine there's no further discussion in relation to that. So we've got that initially moved by Councillor Dickinson, seconded by Councillor Morley. We'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Thank you, Councillor McCarthy, for picking that one up.
Kicking me out.
Yes. All right. Behavioural Complaints Committee meeting, which was held on Tuesday, the 14th of April. That the minutes of the Behavioural Complaints Committee meeting held on that date as published be received and the recommendations therein be adopted. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Dickinson. A seconder, Councillor Morley. Any discussion, councillors? We'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Did you vote, Councillor Caboni? Oh, I'll show of hands again. All those in favour? 9-0. Thank you, that's carried. All right, thank you, councillors. Let's move into the officers' reports. 12.1.1, which is the proposed standard scheme amendment number 3 for Lot 8, Wright Street, Harvey. We have a officer's recommendation here. Councillor Coleman, very good. Seconder for this one, Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Coleman, did you wish to speak to this?
No, thank you. I'm a big advocate for get this happening so that we can get some more people in housing. Thank you.
Councillor McCarthy is the second one.
Same.
Same. Likely to be any debate on this one? This is a great initiative, this one. All right, councillors, let's put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Thank you. We'll move on to 12.1.2, which is the proposed standard scheme amendment number 4 for Lot 9, Lee Street, Harvey. We have an officer's recommendation here. Do I have a mover? Councillor Coleman. And Councillor Holly seconded. Any discussion on this one, Councillor Coleman?
I'd just like to commend staff on this. It's been a pretty prolonged and in-depth investigation for the benefit of the community. So just like to commend the staff on that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. Councillor Holly? Any debate on this one, councillors? We'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Thank you. And yes, thank you, staff, for the work done to date. Item 12.1.3, which is the Council Plan Quarterly Report for Quarter 3, 2025 through to 2026. We have an officer's recommendation here. Do I have a mover? Councillor Coleman, thank you. A seconder? Councillor Hitchcock. Councillor Coleman?
We've gone through this as councillors. We've gone through this at quite some length, and again commend the staff for the work that they've done. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hitchcock? Any speaker against? Speaker for? We'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Thank you. Infrastructure Services 12.2.1, which is the Welga Climate Change Advocacy Position Change. We have an officer's recommendation. Do I have a mover? Councillor Bromham. A seconder? Councillor Dickinson. Councillor Bromham, did you wish to speak?
And say it's an excellent document that relies back to the IPCC information on climate change, which is scientifically based. So it's a good document for us to follow, and hopefully we'll get some funds from the state so that we can actually enact some of the things that they would like us to do.
Councillor Dickinson?
Thank you. I would also like to concur, and I would just like to say that, WALGA do a lot of work in representing all the local governments in the state, and they engage with all the local governments when they put any recommendations forwards, and this gives us a higher level of documentation for future advocacy, and so I think that these documents are to be commended.
Any speaker against? Speaker for? I'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Thank you, councillors. 12.2.2, Uduck Road, plain trees. This is a subsequent report. We have an officer's recommendation here. Do I have a mover? Councillor Bromham. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Coleman. Councillor Bromham, you wish to speak for?
Yeah, I think the trees in Uduck Road are part of what makes Harvey special. Without those trees in place, I think you end up with a boring type of rural town in that case. It's because you've just got shop fronts. So I think it's just something that gives the middle of Harvey that ambience it needs to draw tourism and people to the town. So I think it's very important to maintain the trees as they stand, and hopefully, if trees die, we can replace them with things that are less intrusive.
Thank you, Councillor Bromham. Councillor Coleman as a seconder.
Yeah, thanks, Madam President. Perhaps a query, if I may. The public have been really quite divided about this, and I thank them for their input. Where we say that we're going to ongoing maintenance is required, if I could ask, are we able to, do we intend to schedule sort of an annual maintenance to prevent those roots regrowing over the top of the road in the future, like a simple chainsaw down the side of the down the side of the curbing or something? Just wondering if it's an annual maintenance thing that could be done to prevent this happening at such a degree again.
Yes.
And through the chair, there won't be any maintenance we can do to prevent the roots from growing out, other than the works that Shane's already planned, which will be probably a version of some sort of root guard. Though I think the maintenance referred to here will be maintenance on the actual tree itself. But if you don't mind, Shane's in the office in the room, so if he's got anything to add.
Welcome, Mr. Faber. If we turn on the mic, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. There is no planned root mitigation measures at this point in time. It's a difficult thing to do, and generally we wait for them to get to a point where they require maintenance. So we won't be scheduling maintenance to go in and do root pruning, and it's not quite as simple as getting a chainsaw and going along the curb line. So at this stage we wouldn't have anything planned on that. We will continue to do maintenance on the trees above the ground. The report, I guess, says that it's an asset that will need ongoing maintenance, and when those roots do have that secondary growth, we will have to continue to do road maintenance to manage that situation.
Thank you, Mr. Faber. Is there any speaker against? Councillor Holly.
Thank you, Madam President. Just with a few people that have come to me regarding the flame trees, the danger during the winter of the slippery leaves and that sort of thing, the ongoing maintenance, which we've just heard about, I would think that the below ground on the road would be more important than the above the ground, which is sort of visual more than anything. And I've got one other thing here. Well, my thoughts only on this one is that it would be more costly if we do it down the track than we do it now. So that's just a couple of points that I'll be voting against it.
Thank you, Councillor Holly. Any speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor Dickinson.
Yes, thank you. And I commend the community members that have been involved in the community consultation. I thought it was important for us to gauge the feelings in the community. And I note in the report that there were 235 people saying retain and 111 saying remove. But out of the 4,679 people that have been, and that's the population that's been identified in the economic development strategy, I don't think that we have had enough feedback to retain the trees. So I am taking on board the comments that have been made to me in the past about, again, like Councillor Holly mentioned, the leaves falling being an issue, the ongoing maintenance, and we are continually being hammered by our ratepayers to be mindful of the money that we spend. And I think a more cost-effective way would be to remove the trees at the moment and replace with a more appropriate planting. So I will be voting against.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Speaker for? Speaker against? Councillor Bromman, right of reply.
Look, I understand the arguments against. I think they're all valid in their own right, but more people have asked to maintain the trees than there were to get rid of them. And I think, we've got to respect public opinion. And they're the people that actually took the time to actually answer the questions. I understand the slippery process, and maybe there's some clean-up that needs to be done during the winter in regards to that. It's a different problem. But I feel the trees give Harvey an edge when it comes to the beauty of the town itself. And that's the reason I'll be voting for this, because I think it is something that's very important in relation to making Harvey a place where people would like to come and visit.
Thank you, Councillor Bromman. Let's put this one to the vote. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Against? That's 2 against. The officer's recommendation is carried 7-2. Thank you. Alrighty, we'll move into sustainable development, item 12.3.1, which is the proposed standard scheme amendment number 5 for lot 51 Raymond Road, Rowlands. We have an officer's recommendation here. Do I have a mover for this one, councillors? Councillor Bromman, a seconder, Councillor Caboni. Councillor Bromman, did you wish to speak?
Only to say that this particular piece of land is right on the corner of Raymond Road and the main drag, and that it butts right up against what will be East Treendale anyway. So I don't see any reason why this can't be changed in the public interest.
Councillor Caboni? No. Any speaker against? I'll put this officer's recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Thank you, councillors. 12.3.2, which is the Public Health Plan 2026 through to 2029. There was an addendum that was sent out which made some amendments which included spelling updates and some rewording of the actions. We have an officer's recommendation here. Do I have a mover? Councillor?
And I'd like to declare an interest. I did put it through for the briefing, and I apologise I didn't resend it.
Okay.
But I sit on the Wellington District Health Committee Council.
Okay.
So
Noted.
I'll have an impartiality interest.
Impartiality?
Thank you. But I will move it.
Okay. We note that one. Minute taker, thank you. So we've got Councillor Coleman moving the officer's recommendation. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Dickinson. Thank you. Councillor Coleman, did you wish to speak?
Briefly, just to thank again the community for their input for this and our staff and consultant in this case. There was extensive engagement with the health professionals from within the Shire, around the Shire, and even extending through to Bunbury and the Bunbury Hospital. So extensive engagement and input. So it'll be interesting to see how the community responds to this report. And again, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Coleman. Councillor Dickinson as a seconder.
I would just like to concur, and this will be a good informing document for us to move forward to use in providing the appropriate services.
Any speaker against? No, let's put this one to the vote. Councillors, all those in favour? Carried 9-0, and well done, staff, on putting that one together. Okay, 12.3.3, which is the Economic Development Strategy. We are forward 2031. We have an officer's recommendation that we adopt the Shire's Economic Development Strategy. Do I have a mover for this one? Councillor Dickinson, a seconder. Councillor Morley, thank you. Councillor Dickinson?
Thank you, and I would like to commend staff on the document. It is a very good informing document that we will be able to use for advocacy, and it identifies the areas that we are working on, so I would like to commend staff. Thank you.
Councillor Morley? No. Any speaker against? I'd just like to, as I was involved with the consultation process, I just, as well as support what Councillor Dickinson said, well done to the staff. I've got a few notes here, so bear with me. I just said that the strategy outlines the key priorities and provides a clear framework to guide our decision making. And the focus areas and priorities outlined are in response to what we actually heard from the local businesses and the schools alike when we went out there. So I think the strategy certainly outlines and has those concerns embedded within the report. There are many factors that have changed the landscape in an economic development, and it is really a moving feast at the moment. We've dealt with COVID. We've got geopolitical conflicts and war, we've got global energy crisis, we've got trade tensions, we've got climate change, we've got renewable energy, housing affordability, cost of living pressures and skills shortages. And all of those issues were raised when we went out and spoke to our local businesses. So I believe this strategy identifies those particular issues and will certainly serve as a document for us to base our decisions moving forward. So well done to the Economic Development team, Mr Hughes, if you can pass that on, and CEO, and I certainly support this strategy moving forward. Any speakers against? Councillor Dickinson, did you want to do a right of reply?
I think you've summed it up very well. Thank you.
All right, let's put this one to... Well, I tell you what, I did, and I'll just go on, that, you know, as a local government, all of those things that I identified is what we are dealing with as well as a business and delivering services within our shire. So it's not just the businesses out there, it's also local government. See, I've summed up for you, Councillor Dickinson. All righty, let's put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Thank you very much. All right, let's move into corporate services, 12.4.1, financial statements as at the 31st of March 2026. Do I have an officer's... do I have a mover? Councillor Holly, thank you. A seconder? Councillor Carboni. Any discussion around this one, councillors? We'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Thank you. 12.4.2, payments for March 2026. We have an officer's recommendation here. Do I have a mover for the payments, please? Councillor Morley, thank you. A seconder, Councillor McCarthy. Any discussion in the payments? Put this one to the vote, councillors. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Thank you. 12.4.3, Forward Capital Works Plan for 26 through to 31. We have an officer's recommendation that council adopts the Forward Capital Works Plan. Do I have a mover for this one, councillors? Councillor Bromham, thank you. A seconder, Councillor McCarthy. I'm going to get you to speak, Councillor Bromham, to this one.
Thanks very much. Look, this is a hard thing to put together at the best of times, and I actually emailed staff today asking for the methodology behind this, and I got a rather long reply which outlined the difficulty in putting all these things together, especially in these trying times. So I'd like to thank staff for that. Obviously, council has gone through this in detail at the workshop, and so we know where we're going. Nothing is ever perfect, but we're trying to get there. So I just think this is a good product or plan for moving forward over the next few years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bromham. Councillor McCarthy is the seconder.
Once again, I think this one's a very good plan, just as Councillor Bromham stated. There was a couple of questions that I had in regard to items that were raised as being year zero, that being this zero, but that's been clarified by Mr Winter, that those items that state that they're completed mean that they'll be completed by 30th of June, so I noted that. And I noticed also some of the items that we just cannot do in the next year, that they're just deferred for the moment to be re-looked at next year, so it's a good plan.
Thank you, Councillor McCarthy. Are there any speakers against? Councillor Coleman.
Yes, a bit unusual, I guess. And I note that we did do an in-depth workshop for the next year or two on this Forward Capital Works plan. My concern is around the unallocated or to be advised amounts. I know that we need to spend money on the HRCC, but unallocated or to be advised, like as in unidentified projects, is 800,000. Specified maintenance to be advised is over $1 million. Capital upgrades and replacements to be advised is 930,000. Our capital works to be advised is 1.14 million. Our unallocated capital works is 5.5 million. So I understand that we have a plan for the next year or two, but I also understand that these documents inform our longer term plans, and I feel that so much unallocated or to be advised, I would prefer a little bit more confidence in having those plans or those items identified rather than to be advised at $5.5 million.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. Do I have any speaker for? Councillor Holly?
Thank you, Madam President. I just would like to be on the record that we don't do this as a job lot. You know, we do go through line by line of the whole package, and it's not just a tick of approval on everything. So I just would like to make that public when people look back and go, well, they've given it the okay or not. But, you know, we go through line by line, so there's a lot of work goes into it.
Speaker against? Speaker for? Councillor Dickinson?
Yes, and I concur with Councillor Holly. There was a lot of work that went through line items, and we have taken into account the economic situation at the moment and the uncertainty, and that's reflected in the projects that have been deferred. So I think that this is a very prudent forward capital works plan that considers economic times at the moment.
Speaker against? Councillor Bromham, did you wish to write a reply?
Only to say, look, unallocated funds are normally used in business anyway. You can't actually say where all the money is coming from 5 years in advance. In my past career, I had several $1 million in funds that I had to spend, but we didn't know exactly what we were going to spend it on, so it's allocated against certain areas, so the money was there, so business could run on as normal. And I think that's what we're doing here. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, it's up of the way we've planned this in relation to delivering to the public is very sound.
Thank you. All right, councillors, we'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That's one against. Carried 8-1. And thank you, staff, for your efforts in this Forward Capital Works. It's been a challenging environment to deliver this. All right, 12.4.4, Cyber Security Policy, Strategy and Implementation Plan. We have an officer's recommendation here. Do I have a mover for this? Councillor Bromham. A seconder, please. Councillor Coleman. Councillor Bromham, did you wish to speak about cyber security policies?
Look, I need to say, look, this is a moving feast. It is very difficult. I commend our staff for being so diligent. I think we need to be really on the ball with this. So thanks very much for all the work you've done.
Thank you, Councillor Bromham. Councillor Coleman is the seconder.
I concur with Councillor Bromham's comments.
Thank you. Is there any speaker against? Let's put this one to the vote though. Councillors, all those in favour? Carried 9-0. Well done to everyone involved with that. Community and Lifestyle 12.5.1, which is the Leschenault Leisure Centre Service Review Update. We have an officer's recommendation here, councillors. Do I have a mover for this one, please? Councillor Morley, thank you. A seconder? Councillor Coleman, thank you. Councillor Morley, did you wish to speak as the mover? Councillor Coleman as the seconder? Any speakers against? Speakers for? We'll put this one to the vote. All those in favour? Carried 9-0. Thank you. Alrighty, that's all the officers' reports. Elected members' motions of which previous notice has been given is nil. Notice of motion for the following meeting, we can anticipate one from Councillor Carboni. Reports of members, some have submitted. This is an opportunity for any councillors to report anything that they may wish to speak to. Councillor Bromham.
Yeah, only to say, look, I attended the Anzac Day services with yourself. Such well attendance was really good. I'd like to thank the Leschenault Bushfire Brigade for coming up to Harvey and marching with us as they've been requested. So that's really good to see that we've got across the Shire people who will go anywhere and help any community. So that was fantastic. So really great that we had those people there and supporting our troops in the field. It means so much to them. So thank you.
Any other reports, councillors? Councillor Dickinson.
Yes, I would also like to concur on the delivery of the Anzac Day services in the community. I attended the Yarloop Dawn service, the Brunswick service and also the Harvey morning service, and there was good attendance in all of the services that I attended. So it is very good to see that it is a commemoration day, and particularly in the climate that we're in, that, you know, this resonates very strongly with our community. I would also like to commend the Harvey Agricultural Show. I attended both on the Saturday night and yesterday, and it was really great to see that they had really good attendance and increased numbers in displays in the trade space. So I think that the committee is very much to be commended. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dickinson. Any others, councillors? No? New business of an urgent nature introduced by decision of meeting is nil. Matters behind closed doors is nil. Being no more further business, thank you everyone for attending, and I declare this meeting closed at 4:58 p.m. Thank you.